In this lecture, we're going to look at images of deities, of gods. We'll see that there's a reasonably wide variety of image-making styles and a wide variety of gods that people throughout the world have believed in throughout history. We're going to start with images that we've seen before. At least we've seen of the woman from Willendorf. There she is, that wonderful fertility figure, clearly, abundantly fertile, her massive breasts, her emphasized pubic triangle, her expanded hips, and if seen from the side, we would also see even her slightly pregnant-looking distended abdomen and the emphasis at the very center of that belly button, that navel, that umbilical, that element of the human body that more than any other connects a mother to her child, emblematizing fertility. Now, if we look to the figure on the right, the so-called snake goddess, we can see some similar features, and yet there are also substantial differences. This snake goddess is from Minoan, Crete. Now, this is a culture we don't know a whole lot about because while they were literate and they left us some writing, they didn't leave us anything of the sort that we would need for this. They left us daily life information. They left us shopping lists and receipts and bills of sale. But they didn't leave us great religious texts or epic poems that would give us a real sense, flavor of the period. What's emphasized here? Well, to our eyes, her large breasts, because of the way her bodice seems to have been pulled open to display them. Also, though, her eyes, large, wide, staring eyes, and, of course, the snakes she holds. Now, who is this figure? We don't actually know. Is she connected to a fertility cult? Well, one author named Sayer writes, quote, "The chief deity of Minoan culture was a fertility goddess represented in several different forms. As she appears here, her bare breasts indicate female fecundity, while the snakes she carries are associated with male fertility." Well, it sounds good, but she could just as easily be a votive offering to the god or goddesses, or an image of a priestess or a queen. We don't know, because we don't have a text to tell us. Crete has very few snakes, so this might be an imported snake cult of some kind from elsewhere. But we don't know of any such snake goddesses from other cultures. So what do we have to go on? The image itself. Well, doing some visual analysis, we see that it's highly symmetrical. Denotes a sense of importance and balance. We see that it is hieratic. She looks important, dignified, her upright bearing, her facial expression. Okay, also lends importance. She's wearing very elaborate clothing. Look at the layers of that fabulous skirt. Again, lends importance. She also has some fancy sort of headdress, capped with a cat. Again, makes her seem important. But the most important thing that we can look at, the visual feature that most connotes to us a sense that this is a person of great power or dignity, is the way she looks at us. Figures that face us fully frontally, that stare directly out at us, tend to be figures in positions of power or authority. This is certainly a religious artifact. There's one other fact about it we need to know, and that's where it was found. She was found underneath the floorboards in a secret compartment in a great palace at Knossos. What would she be doing there? Well, perhaps she was there as a protective device, protecting the house, or trying to guarantee its fertility, or its prosperity. Every year when I teach this, though, some students suggest maybe it was just the king's hidden stash of porn. Perhaps the most famous set of gods that aren't much around these days anymore are the Greek gods. Now, life began for the Greeks on Earth when Gaia, the Earth goddess, gave birth to all the other gods as well as to the giants and titans. The gods lived up on Mount Olympus, a great mountain over Athens. These gods were primarily human in form, and we'll see a human image of one in just a minute, but they also adopted other forms at will, as we see here. This is a Northern Renaissance image by Jan Gossert, also known as Mabusa, of Danae. Danae was the daughter of a powerful man, and an oracle warned him that Danae's son would someday rise up and kill him. So he shut her up into a bronze room away from all male company so she could never conceive. However, Zeus developed a passion for her, and so he poured down into her lap through the roof as a shower of golden coins. This is the moment of her impregnation. As a result, she had a son, Perseus, the great Greek hero, who eventually did rise up and kill his grandfather. So this is just one of the many forms that a god takes, a particularly exotic one, gold coins, but they also turn themselves into bulls and eagles and lions and rams and trees and streams and all of the things that one could think of. But let's look at an image of a god straight out. Here is mighty Zeus, the father of the gods, the most powerful of the gods up on Olympus. We see him here reaching back. He should have a thunderbolt in his hand, which he is about to hurl at somebody. How do we know this is a god and not some javelin thrower? Look at that face. Notice the way his beard falls into perfect symmetry. Notice the way his hair falls into perfect symmetry. Notice the way his face, despite his great physical action, is so calm, so powerful, so impassive as he reaches out to smite one of us. This is how we know this to be a god. How is his body depicted? To get a good look at it, let's compare it with the Shiva Nataraja, which we'll examine in detail in a minute. So, take a minute, look at these two, and then write a bit about how these images of gods differ. Zeus's body is idealized in a muscular sense. He is physically fit, powerful, evidently manly. Shiva, on the other hand, is a curiously ambiguous body, soft, sensuous, curvaceous without quite being female. There's a certain androgyny to the figure. Well, Shiva is a god of creative and destructive powers, of light and dark, of male and female. With 4 arms, he dances an endless cycle of death and rebirth, destruction and creation, and dances in a ring of fire. Now, in Hinduism, there are many gods, but these are all really manifestations or avatars of the one unbounded god, or Brahman, who is pure being, pure intelligence, pure delight, and ultimately unknowable. Shiva is one of his primary avatars. There are, at least according to some, as many as 350,000 other deities or avatars in Hinduism. As a unity of male and female, we see a body with androgyny. He also represents creation and destruction, destroying life in order that it can be recreated. And this is the image we see here, Nataraja, or Lord of the Dance. It's a devotional image in which we see the god to be worshipped, and this dance is both for the universe and for the individual. In the left hand, we see a ball of fire, and the ring of fire around Shiva. Both symbolize the destruction of the physical universe. The back right hand holds a drum, beating the rhythms of creation and destruction. The front right hand bears a gesture to tell us, don't be afraid. The front left reaches across the body and points toward the foot, which is lifted up, signaling a promise of liberation. The balance, poise, grace, and movement of the body implies the balance of the universe through creation and destruction. Now, this is a concept completely absent in the bronze Zeus next to Shiva. These different gods from different religions do not stand in for the same things. There are not universal qualities shared by all deities or any such things like that. Every religion has its own differences, though there are occasional similarities which unite them. We're going to look at one more image, though this an image without an image. Now we go to Buddhism. And in early Buddhism, there is no representation of the Buddha. Instead, he is shown by his absences. Now, this is the great stupa at Sanchi in central India. What it shows, this great mound, is the place where the ashes of Buddha are contained. He is buried within that as ashes. But we don't see him. We see this great mound above him. Well, there are images all over the exterior, such as on this great Torana or stone gate. But what we see here is an empty throne. We see the throne where he once was. We see footprints left behind when he left the earth, and so on. We see his absence rather than his presence. So, to represent a god may mean to show us a great, grand, over life-sized, powerful physical body. It may be, on the other hand, to show us nothing at all.